6:15 Central African time, and it's time for us to take a look at what's been happening across West Africa. And we're now joined by a political commentator who's also the founder and chairman of the Pan-African Forum. Always good to have you on the program, Dr. David Matsanga. Welcome.
Good morning, my brother Peter. Good morning. We are still fighting for a better Africa. Thank you very much. You and I, we have been there.
La luta continua.
Yes.
So let's begin in Burkina Faso. A week after an attempted coup in the country, the situation there remains tense. What's your take on what's happening? I was talking to an analyst the other day, and he says, look, everyone is going to do. There are many people with interests in Burkina Faso who do anything they can to make sure that the Traoré project doesn't work.
Yes, it is. That analyst was correct, but let me tell you, if this was the wrong tree that the French and Americans are climbing, they are going to have their Waterloo here. We are aware, most of it. I have been to Burkina Faso, as I told you, 6 times. I've been there. I've seen the projects that this young man is doing. I've seen how things have transformed into currency. You can get your currency in 20 minutes. If you want to exchange to $1, you want to go to India, you want to go to where you take your patient, 20 minutes, you get the money. The hospitals, there's medicine. Schools are beginning to be built. Roads are being built. This is something different compared to what the former political civilian governments were doing in Burkina Faso. But let me tell you, Ibrahim Touré is not only from Burkina Faso. He has led the whole Africa. You touch him, they will touch you. Everybody. Americans have to be very careful with the French. We know what their plan is. They are based in Ivory Coast. You know, Ivory Coast has always been the problem of that place. And you know very well, those days, Thabo Mbeki and I were involved in the negotiations to save Babugo. I see a lot, as you ask me, a lot again coming up in Ivory Coast. We never know. The French want to create a war around that area. And I'm always very frank, very open. I want a debate with them. Why members of the United Nations Security Council want to create war instead of creating peace?
All right, so still with the Burkina Faso part of this next story, together with Mali and Niger, they've endorsed Morocco's initiative to provide them with access to Atlantic ports, aiming to bolster trade routes after their withdrawal from ECOWAS. How might this shift in trade alliances affect the economic and political landscape of West Africa, in your view?
It does shift. But one of the things that I am again giving, I am always open again. I'm frank. I am one of the few people in Africa who discusses the question of Western Sahara, the Sahrawi Republic, the Sahrawis that have who have suffered the occupation of Morocco. I have told Touré and others that please watch out about Morocco. Morocco is an axis of very dangerous politics on the continent of Africa. And therefore, you might lose your credibility by getting involved with Morocco to export things through there when the Sahrawis, 5 million of them, are scattered around the whole world, including South Africa, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Kenya, and so on. I'm carefully telling them, be careful about the opening of that route towards the Atlantic Ocean. But be very steady on knowing that Sahrawis have supported an independent, free Africa without any injuries of Moroccan bad politics. I don't know why we even invited Morocco back to African Union, Peter. It should have not come back. It should have gone forever. Morocco discriminates against we black people. When we were there, we don't look like Africans in that place. Morocco, Tunisia have become one those states in the North Africa that are actually slaughtering, killing, beating up black Africans who come from south of Sahara.
All right. Human rights organizations are urging Liberian President Joseph Boakai to renew his executive order, establishing an office to set up a war crimes court addressing atrocities from the civil wars between 1989 and 2003. The current order is going to expire May 1 tomorrow. What are the potential consequences for Liberia's pursuit of justice and reconciliation if this mandate actually lapses?
That is one of the most obnoxious, silly, stupid route that Liberia is trying to follow. We have closed that chapter. We have sealed that chapter. The wounds have healed. You don't need to open wounds now because we have already passed what we call a redemption strategy. 2 elections, about 3 presidents since that war. You want to go back to that same wound, open it up. That is very silly. And I want to use those words so that the MPs can get angered and come back to me, not to your station. It is very dangerous for you at the moment to open up any other cases of the past. We sealed it with Taylor going to jail. He's serving his sentence of 53 years. I have been there. We know what Obasanjo did. The way Obasanjo left us again with Thabo Mbeki and Chisano at the airport somewhere in Cote d'Ivoire, disappeared and handed over Mr. Taylor to the UN, to Kofi Annan. We have been there. Peter, let's not go back to open wounds. As some African countries, instead of opening those wounds, fight corruption. There's plenty of corruption in Liberia. Fight it. Don't go back to fight by opening up wounds. Who killed who? We have moved over 20, coming to almost 30 years. Why do you want to open that wound? Opening that wound would cause quite a lot of problems since you don't have people that you have given food for free, school fees for free, uniforms, medicine for free. People are still struggling. Why do you want to go back to remind them of what happened, yet you cannot solve the current needs? You should have done like this, like opening up another wound in South Africa, where you say, let's go for truth and reconciliation in South Africa, Commission of Tutu. That will be dangerous again today. Some people might not like it. Some people will use it for their advantage.
Yeah, there'll definitely be people on different sides on that particular issue. Tomorrow, May the 1st, Ghana will prohibit foreigners from participating in local gold trading. And the newly established Ghana Gold Board will oversee all transactions, aiming to curb illegal mining and increase state revenue. What impact do you think this policy could have on Ghana's mining sector and its relationship with foreign investors?
Foreign investors have come disguised as foreign investors, yet they are foreign distractors. Ghana has a policy, and Ghana is not targeting black Africans, and anybody from Africa is not a foreigner in Ghana. It's the only country in Africa where you enter, your passport is very clean as long as you say, I am Dr. David Matanga, born in Uganda in that year. Peter, born in this country, that year, come. You come and go and set up your business, do whatever you want. They are not targeting us from Africa. They are targeting Chinese, they are targeting Canadian companies, they are targeting American companies, because America is chasing us from their country. America is telling us to leave. Why do we want them here? They got this. You know, there is one thing that African leaders should do. If we united and said, okay, thank you very much, you Americans. Americans want Africa more than we want America. What is in America apart from going to see guns, everybody armed with a gun in the house? What is that? What is in America? For me, if Dr. David Matanga, even if you gave me $30 million, I will not live in America ever. because I considered it a state of violence. It ignites violence. Look at Trump. What he's doing is violence. He doesn't know what is happening in South Africa. He said white people are being told to leave the farms. Where? Where are they being told to leave the farms? America exports violence. The doctrine of American democracy, which has turned into transactional democracy, is going to cause problems. That's why Ghana is telling some of these American companies to get out by tomorrow. Yes, you remember, Ghana is following what the neighbors there are doing. If you hear your neighbor has got a good house, a good road, medicine, do you want to stay without medicine in your own hospital? Remember, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso are neighbors around there. The words across there are coming back to Ghanaians. When you fly into Burkina Faso, you get medicine quickly. When you fly, you get US dollar quickly. It is easier to go through Burkina Faso than going through Nigeria to get your money, your foreign exchange, because Nigeria doesn't have. There is no money. There's plenty of money in Nigeria, but it doesn't have money of $10,000 in the 20 minutes if you want to change it from naira to dollar. So what type of country is this in Africa?
Right.
It is time for us to stand up, Peter, and say enough is enough. Ghana is doing a great job to make sure that foreigners don't start mining and taking their concessions, the mining concessions. In Uganda, for example, we are blocked. You don't take out our gold. No, I thank President Museveni for doing that. You don't export gold from Uganda. Nowhere. All the gold is kept.
Right.
And it is not sold outside or exported. So
Okay.
Ghana is doing the right thing to stop foreigners, Chinese, Americans, Canadians, and other companies.
All right. Let's move.
This country for a long time.
Let's move to Mali now, which has recommended that junta leader Assimi Goïta be appointed president with a 5-year mandate, dissolving existing political parties and delaying elections indefinitely. How do you think this development will affect Mali's democratic transition and its standing with the international community? Whilst similar to Burkina Faso, it's not quite the same.
Let me tell you what is democracy. Has there been a democracy in Mali? From Konare to all these leaders, there has been corruption, not democracy. Let me tell you, my brother, Bamako has improved a bit as a result of a military guy there. I am not telling people to pick up guns and go and fight. I'm saying the truth. But the army in Mali have done better than civilian governments that were there before. So what type of democracy is that when a section of your country is under siege from militants, sponsored, equipped, supplied by France? Remember that. Supplied. You know, we have very terrible members of United Nations Security Council, Peter. There's no more United Nations Security Council in the world. This guy sponsor even terrorists, even give them uniforms. Look at the way they are killing us in East Africa. We know where Al-Shabaab gets their uniform, from Qatar. The uniform of the Al-Shabaab looks like the uniform of Qatar. Then you tell us, you don't know where the terrorists come from. You say we shall bomb them. It is just an extension of war. What is happening in Mali is very, very clear determination by the people of Mali to clean the slate, to remove corruption, to remove insurgency that has been sponsored, supplied, and equipped by the French. You know very well that is all there. Gaddafi died and I told you.
All right. Dr. Matsanga, unfortunately, we've run out of time, so we're going to have to leave it there. But I want to say thank you very much indeed for your contribution. As always, greatly appreciated your insights on the program. And that brings us to 6:30, which means it's time for your news headlines with Joalane Tulo Mwepe.
SABC News headlines. The African Perspective.